Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Parth Bajaj and I'm going to teach you how to make pasta from scratch, and with just 3 ingredients you can make a very good pasta. So let's start. But first check out my previous video where I shared how to make pizza from scratch, and you can also use that sauce to make a red sauce pasta. But today we'll be making a pesto version because we have a lot of basil in the fridge. Let us know what you want to see next so that we can plan our next video accordingly. So please comment down below and let's get started. So the only two ingredients that we need are flour and eggs. Apart from that, we only need salt, but that's it. So we start by separating 5 egg yolks from their whites. So I'll just quickly remove them in a bowl. And you can use any method to do that. You can also use shells like this to just separate the yolks from the whites. Just like that. I usually do not prefer doing this with a knife. I just prefer this to just crack the shell on the counter, and that's better. And it's great to use cold eggs because they don't break like that. So this is what you want. So you can use your hands or just use the shell, but either ways try to just separate the yolks from the whites. For this recipe we just need the yolks, but you can use the whites for other things such as macarons, meringue cookies or pavlovas, and we already have recipes for pavlova and meringue cookies on the channel. So do go and check those out and let me know if you want any other recipe with this. Start by taking our flour, and for this I'm using double O tipo pizza flour. You can use maida as well, which is all-purpose flour, and then we'll just create a well sort of shape in the middle. Now we'll pour all of those egg yolks in the middle. You can also do this in a bowl, but I just think that this is a fancier version of doing it. Now we'll add salt to taste in this. I'm adding around half teaspoon of salt. So the measurements are 125 grams of flour, 5 egg yolks and half teaspoon salt. And you can change this accordingly, but I think this measurement works perfectly fine for me. So now we'll just slowly start to whisk this using a fork while bringing some of the flour in the middle, just like that. So this is a technique which most people just follow while making pasta. You can just mix this in a bowl using a spatula as well. Just slowly bring all the flour in the middle and keep mixing it with the fork, and there will come a point where you can easily shift to your hands and start kneading this like a normal dough. And then just try to incorporate all the flour in the egg yolks until the dough looks homogeneous, and you may need a little bit of more liquid. In that case you can add a splash of water or a splash of milk. The reason for this is that all egg yolks have different sizes, and that is why you may need a little bit more liquid. And I'm adding a splash of milk here. Then we'll knead this until the dough becomes completely smooth. If you want a recipe for eggless pasta from scratch, you can just let me know in the comments below and I'll try to work it out. And here you can see that the dough is completely kneaded and it looks smooth as well. We'll just cling wrap this and let it rest for at least half an hour to 1 hour. Now let's make the pesto. For that I'll just add some water to a saucepan. Bring it to a boil. Till the water is boiling, I'm going to make some ice water by just combining some ice cubes and some cold water. In goes some cold water. Now just keep this aside, and I think meanwhile the water should have boiled completely. Into this we'll add all of our basil. In goes all the basil. We'll just cook this for 15 seconds or max 20 seconds. That is the reason why our ice water is ready beforehand. It smells so good right now. After 15 to 20 seconds are up, you can just remove it in the ice water. So this shock treatment is basically going to preserve the color of the basil, and it's going to stop the further cooking. Now we'll keep this aside, and you can use this same water later on to boil your pasta. So let's just keep it aside for now, and then we can start making our pasta. Before we make our pasta, I'm just going to make our pesto sauce first. So I'm going to add all of that cooled and blanched basil in this mixer grinder pot. You can also use a mortar and pestle for this. Now in goes some garlic cloves. You can add as much or as less as you want. Some salt to taste. Don't add too much salt right now because pasta as well will have a lot of salt. Next up we'll add some olive oil. This is extra virgin olive oil. Some nuts of your choice. I'm adding some roasted walnuts here. You can also add pine nuts or Brazil nuts, which are more common in pesto. And lastly, we'll add lots of grated Parmesan cheese in this. I've grated around half of this cheese, and I'm going to now add it to the blender as well. I think I'm going to need a little bit of extra olive oil. So I'm adding that, and now we can blend this together. you think that the pesto is not coming together as well, then you can add a little bit of more olive oil. So depending on that, you might need more or less. And please feel free to adjust any kind of ingredients here, like the Parmesan cheese or the garlic, as per your convenience. And with that, our pesto is absolutely ready. As you can see, it's looking really good. The consistency is just how I like it, and it's really green as well. Now let's roll out our pasta. I've just dusted the counter with a little bit of flour, and I'm now going to take this rested pasta dough and I'm going to just roll it out using this rolling pin. You can also use a pasta machine, as I would do later, but this is just to show you that you can also do this with hand. So just roll it out like this, as thin as you want, and then cut it out into your desired shape. You can also make lasagna with this or ravioli with this. With just 10 to 15 seconds of rolling, you can see that I have achieved a very nice long pasta dough already. And as I continue to do this, I can just reach that 3 to 4 mm or 2 mm thickness depending on my taste. If you have a pasta machine, you can also use that to get better results. I'm going to do that, but you can definitely do this with hand, just as I showed you. By just changing the setting by 1, you can see that the pasta dough has doubled in length, and I think this is my ideal thickness for the same. But you can keep going as you want. You see here, when I put the dough against the window, I can see my fingers, and that's what you want. Just to show you what you can do if you don't have a machine, I'm going to divide this dough into 2 parts, and then I'm going to cut one of them using the machine and the other one using hand. I'm going to cut the dough from middle here. And now we have 2 equal portions. Cut. I'm going to pass the dough through this cutter, and it's going to replicate something like a fettuccine shape. It's a little thinner than fettuccine, but it's just as good. Just look at that beautiful pasta shape. If you don't have a machine, you can just roll this up like that, and then use a sharp knife to just cut thin noodles, just like that, depending on what size and shape that you want. I'm only doing these many just to show you how your pasta would turn out. As you can see, it's still pretty decent, not exactly as beautiful as the other one, but it's still doing a good job. This is the pasta that we have made freshly using the pasta machine, and it looks really good. I'm going to let it dry for a few minutes. Meanwhile, I will just boil my pasta water. We'll add generous amount of salt in this. It should almost taste like seawater, but not as salty as that. Just to remind you, this is the same water that we use to blanch our basil. I'm going to add half of my pasta in, as I'm making just 1 serving right now. So unfortunately, the glass vessel has just broke, so I have to just shift the pasta and the water to another container. But we'll boil this for around 5 minutes or until it's al dente. The pasta looks almost cooked to me. I'm just going to check if it's cooked till al dente or not. I think it's perfectly cooked till al dente. I'm going to stop the cooking now. Now we'll add all of that pasta in, followed by all of the pesto. Just look at that gorgeous color. Followed by a splash of that pasta water. And then we can just give it a quick mix. Looks wonderful to me. Now I'm just going to plate it up. You can do the plating as you like. Just look at that. Don't forget to add all of that wonderful sauce that we made. I'm going to just grate some of that beautiful Parmesan cheese on top. And with that, our amazing pesto pasta from scratch is absolutely ready. You can garnish this with some more basil or even parsley, but I'm just going to add some chopped walnut on top. That's it. Doesn't that look amazing? You can actually make this with other pasta shapes as well. You don't need to make the pasta from scratch if you don't want to. You can definitely use store-bought pasta as well, but it tastes great either ways. Now let's taste this. That's so good, guys. This one gets a 10 on 10 from my side. It's really fresh and amazing. You can make all sorts of other pasta flavors with this same pasta dough and some other dishes with the pesto sauce. So all in all, you have two amazing recipes and you can try these in any various combinations possible. So make sure to check out this recipe and subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. So make sure to let me know which recipe you would like to see next. Thank you so much.